Hey everyone, it's Gina. You're listening to Seer Sessions. I am back on my couch. If you're listening to this, you're missing a video of me on my couch in my living room. I cannot sit at my desk like a Zoom situation. Like I do it for my clients. I do it a lot. I don't want to do it for this podcast if I don't have to. So I'm sitting in my living room. I currently have Roxanne with me on the couch. I've got Tula with me on the couch. And this is a working set, you know? I'm a hypnotist. So watch me grow and change. All right. Yesterday's episode, I talked a little bit about how I have hypnotic journeys coming up. And if you did not tune into yesterday's episode, I just recorded it sitting on this couch. I talk a little bit about expanded awareness. I mean, this whole podcast is about expanded awareness. Essentially, that's what we're doing. But I talk specifically about a recent situation I had with myself, where I was like, hey, you don't have to have these thoughts. And it was like, what? I don't have to have these thoughts? I mean, of course I don't. That could ruin my life. Anyway, I talk about that. And then I also talk about the topics of the hypnotic journeys. Each week, I'm going to do a theme for the rest of the year. Each week is going to have a theme. You're going to have 3 hypnotic journeys that you can do within that theme each week. I am having so much fun creating the hypnotic suggestions and the language and the journeys. I really am looking forward to hear like just what you all get when you go on these journeys. And then for those of you who are just my soldiers who are going to do this every single week, I want to know like who will you be at the end of this year? You are going to be way more self-trusting, way more confident, way more purposeful. Like, I'm really excited. Okay, today I'm going to go through the anatomy of a hypnotic journey as I do it. Okay, any hypnotic journey that you do with me, whether it's a group, small group, large group, whether it's you're listening to it on my podcast, there's always 3 parts to my hypnotic journeys. So there's the induction, that's the hypnotic induction. Looks and feels a lot like a guided meditation, and it's me guiding you to completely relax, get focused, get tuned into the subtleties, open that subconscious mind. And so that's the first part, the hypnotic induction. Usually lasts anywhere between 5 minutes and 20 minutes, just kind of depends on the group, the person, where we're going, what we're doing. And then the second part of the hypnotic journey, I call that the meat. That's literally what I call it. Like when I'm writing out a hypnotic script or planning something, I call it the meat. So that's the middle part. So if you're in an experience with another lifetime, like a past life regression, if you want to use those words, when you're in that, the memories from that other lifetime, that's the meat. And then when you come out of it, that's also the meat. And then when I bring you out of the journey, when I'm saying things like beginning our journey back to the present moment now, and then I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're wide awake, balanced, alert, that is the wakening, or waking the client, as I call it. So those 3 parts, we have the hypnotic induction, we have the meat of the journey, where are we going? And then we have the waking portion of it, where we're basically just pulling you out of that trance. So there's always those 3 parts, but there's shifts within them just based on where we're going, what we're doing. So like I said, if you're experiencing another lifetime, the meat of the journey, you will be inside that lifetime, or you will be out of body reflecting on that lifetime. And then if you're going to experience your higher self, your inner wisdom, your soul's guidance, that would be in that portion of it. So we do the induction to get you there. And then when you're in that space, getting that information, that's the meat of that journey. And then for the directive hypnosis script, the same thing, except the meat portion of it is just when you're relaxed with an open mind, listening to my words, and I am saying positive hypnotic suggestions into your subconscious mind. So that's the meat there. And then we pull you out, we wake you back up. So let's zoom in on that meat a little bit. The journey to another lifetime. Again, each one is going to be a little bit different based on the theme, but think about the journey to another lifetime as when you need a new perspective, when you're having a hard time understanding something, understanding someone, when it's just like your belief about something is really blocking you, and you know that you don't have to have that belief, you could change it, Or maybe you're thinking, I just want to see this from a different angle. I want a different perspective on this tough situation, this difficult relationship, whatever it is that you're dealing with. I really think of journeying to another lifetime when we need like an instant new perspective. When we experience another lifetime, it's pretty easy for us to really get clarity, have compassion for ourselves, for other people, and really kind of get enough clarity where we can see like how we're going to handle this thing or how we're going to move forward. Again, it's that instant perspective shift. And it's really, really good too if you're feeling like you're stuck, like you don't have a way forward. Um, if you have a big transition coming up in your life, I think that's a great time. What can I know about this transition coming up in my life? What can I know to be prepared for it? How can I be as I move through it to make the most of it, whatever that might mean to you? Yeah, and just if you need a different perspective, another point of view, it's I just love the journey to another lifetime, as you all know. Okay, so the second journey each week, again, is a journey to your higher self. We go into that transcendental state and we access your inner soul's wisdom, that guidance, your higher guidance system, your higher self. And in that space, for each hypnotic journey, I'm going to have predetermined, pre recorded questions in the vein of that topic. And then at the end of any of these hypnotic journeys, this one specifically, if you have something in mind that you have a question about or you're wondering about and you want to bring a question to your higher self, bring that question in at the end of the meat section of each of these journeys. I ask a question of like, is there anything else that you can know or understand? And in this case, I would actually prompt you to bring that question forward. But whether I prompt you to bring that question forward or not, I always do this kind of last question, almost like a last sweep, like anything else we need to know. You can just bring that question to the front of your mind and then relax and observe what comes to mind. And I know it sounds so wild, you guys, but unless you've had that experience, unless you've gone into trance and you heard it in the conversations in last week's episodes with my friends who did that hypnotic journey, we often go into these hypnotic journeys thinking we have these answers. We know these things. We have assumptions. We can guess how it might go. And one of my favorite parts is when we get an answer that's completely different than like when I get an answer where it's like Gina would have never said that. But when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's true. Oh my gosh, yes, it's so clarifying. That's my favorite part of it all. That kind of insight happens all the time in these higher self sessions. So bring your questions. I'm going to have these predetermined questions, and you'll be able to access your inner soul's guidance and wisdom. And here's the thing, doing it once, you will get these answers. Keep doing it. You'll get even more information. This intuitive game is a game of subtleties. You need to tune in to the subtleties in your awareness. And the more you do it, the more you become aware of, the more you understand what is your guidance, what is influence externally, and the more you can get that clarity within these journeys, the more effective and beneficial these journeys will be. And not only that, but if you can do that in your everyday life, huge win. Yes, you're going in and you're going into this trance space and you're getting this information for these specific reasons, but overall you're exercising your awareness, your mind's ability to connect to the subtleties within you, around you, understanding what is your energy, what is not, what is the influence you want, what is not. So, doing these hypnotic journeys, you're not only getting this information in that moment that can benefit your life, but it's this overarching exercise in an ability to be tuned into the subtleties around you and within you. The third hypnotic journey is again just that hypnotic suggestions. That's what's in the meat. So, those hypnotic suggestions are going to be written out in the show notes so you can always go back to it. And hopefully you listen to it enough where you can almost just hear my voice saying it in your head. Maybe you just say it out of your mouth, these positive affirmations, like as you move through your day. And that one, listening to it once is great, but I recommend listening to that every single day for 30 days. And if you can't add one more thing to your schedule, just turn it on while you're falling asleep. Your subconscious mind is always aware, always tuned in, so it will hear it, especially if you set the intention. I want this information in my subconscious mind. That's why I'm doing this as I'm going to sleep. And you set that intention, it'll happen. You can watch those changes unfold as the month goes by, as you're listening to it every night. It will rewire you. It's so cool. And the subconscious mind is so cool because we're so used to conscious work. When you think of conscious work, you can think of, say, you had road rage. You've probably heard me say this on this podcast before, but it's such a good example. So, say you had road rage, and every time you drive home, by the time you get home, you're like all revved up. You're just like pissed off. You're thinking about all the negative things, all the people on the road, and you don't want to feel that way. And people are complaining and they're saying you're having a bad vibe. So, say you go to hypnosis for it. You make these changes in your subconscious minds, you gain new perspectives, insight, wisdom. Your habits are changed because your subconscious mind has changed. Now, I'm not someone who's working in the conscious mind, right? That would be okay. When you experience road rage, I want you to relax your shoulders and breathe deep 10 times. And that's conscious work in the moment. That can be valuable. That can move things. Yes. That's not what I'm talking about here. So I'm talking about subconscious mind. When we make that change in your subconscious mind, it's just automatic for you. It's effortless for you. So in this situation, you would work through that road rage stuff in your subconscious mind, get in your car, drive home, get home. And maybe when you're going to bed, you'd be like, shit, I didn't even have road rage today. You would kind of forget it. Or maybe you wouldn't even think that, but the person you share a bed with would be like, hey, you're in a good mood tonight. And you can be like, hey, I am. Shit, that work is paying off. So that's the difference of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. The conscious mind, you're totally conscious. You're in the moment. You're fighting it. When we make a shift in your subconscious mind, it just shifts the software. You're just not there anymore. You're not having thoughts about it, feelings about it. It's just not a thing. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Hypnosis is just, it's magic, y'all. I love it. Nothing works like hypnosis for me. All right, what else do I have for you on this list? If you want more information on the anatomy of a session, what happens, how this information comes in, you can go to episode 3. Episode 3, all the way back to the beginning, 2019. It is a very detailed episode. But the way I do a session is for sure a little bit different than the way I explain it there, just because it is 2019. As I record this, it's 2025. So it's 6 years ago. Yeah, I do a session different for sure. I hope we're all doing things differently than we were 6 years ago, but for sure I am. But the way I talk about the information you can get, how the information comes in, that all stays true. But how I do the session is a smidge different. So that would be episode 3, and it's called Anatomy of a Past Life Regression. Okay, everybody, that's our episode for today. Tomorrow, you're going to get an episode where I am going through everything you need to know to feel comfortable to do one of these hypnotic journeys on your own at home. So this is good for if you want to do it, but you're a little nervous, a little scared, you haven't yet, you don't know why. It's probably because you just don't have all the information. I'm going to have that for you in tomorrow's episode. And then if you're someone who feels comfortable doing this, you don't have a lot of fear, still listen to it because you want to get the most out of it. I mean, you're sinking 45 minutes into this endeavor, maybe even an hour if you journal afterward. So you want to make sure you're getting the most from it. If you want to learn more about my work, you can go to seersessions.com.